Very good evening, everyone. This is Babu Nair. First of all, welcome to Wi-Fi for empowering the women in technology. First of all, just about banking frontiers and financial technology frontiers before I go to the Wi-Fi for those who are coming for the first time and we are not connected before. Uh, we run a magazine called as Banking Frontiers in India for last 23 years in financial services and technologies. And here in North America, we are called as Financial Technology Frontiers, where we have a digital platform which basically takes up all the current trends in the financial services and acts as a bridge to connect financial innovations and financial technologies together. So we have created a very important pillar of ours called as skill building pillar, and in which we are trying to see how we can create inclusion and better engagement with the industry. So we have created this concept called as Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is basically to empower the women in financial and fintech industry to get into newer levels of growth. And we have created four pillars within Wi-Fi: elevate, engage, empower, and enterprise. Elevate being to boost women's career skills in tech and elevate their positions from mid level to the top levels. Engage is basically to foster connections and networking opportunities for women who are basically coming back to the industry. Empower is for providing resources and supporting growth for women who are new to the industry, and enterprise is for women who are entrepreneurs and who want to go to the next level. So, we are creating ecosystems integration where we are blending our existing programs, existing ecosystems with enhanced mentorship programs. So, what we are trying to do here is we are blending the existing ecosystems of training. So, we need your support and understanding about what are all those existing ecosystems with which we can collaborate and we can bring enhanced mentorship to it. So the mentorship will be provided by leaders like you, who would all be connected to this community and who would all offer some part of your time to mentor those women who are either from empower, engage, elevate, or enterprise categories. We will have HR collaborations where we will collaborate with the HR teams of the banks and financial institutions for efficient onboarding. Then we will have leadership engagement where we will partner with CXOs to shape the Wi-Fi cohort members. And then finally, we will look at sustainability, how we can make it as a sustainable activity by engaging with the existing government related supports or from CSR supports of organization or HR related or training related support from the financial institutions, technology companies, and financial institutions as well. And finally, what are the expectations and goals of this? We will look at identifying what kind of mentorship activities can be generated, what kind of partnerships we can build, and what kind of community building. We are planning to create a lot of community ambassadors uh, amongst all of you, through whom we can actually try to see how we can empower more and more women. So we will identify the gap analysis, government support, corporate integration, and budget utilization of all these funds which we are get available for either inclusion or for CSR or for HR traction. So today's session we will have, and Rebecca is again another wonderful leader who is an investor in Web 3.0, who has been mentoring several fintechs. She has been a part of some of the interesting programs for promoting fintechs as well as technology companies, startups, and accelerating a lot of startups across the globe. She has personally connected me to several interesting organizations, either in capital raising or in the area of fundraising or in the area of Web 3.0. And I thought that she would be a great support for us to have this session moderated. What kind of empowerment in terms of capital is required for women entrepreneurs today? Today, there is definitely a disparity between the amount of capital when it comes to women-led entrepreneurs and male-led entrepreneurs here in the market. So, what kind of ecosystems are being created here today, and what kind of observations you have to share in this area?
I mean, I don't love to, like separate women from men, and that's not certainly what we try to do. I think, there's probably some, anecdotal, things you sort of notice with women entrepreneurs raising funds versus, an all male team. And that probably starts with, and I think, probably see this in lots of spots of women in their careers, like women wait much longer to raise capital than men. Um, they want to make sure that, they're prepared, they're ready, they have all those sort of ducks in a row, whereas men just sort of go for it. I think there's lots of like research and other data to support, that is true of women in other aspects of their careers. Women are more likely to apply for a job if they think they check all the boxes, whereas men, if they check like one or two of 10 boxes, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Um, so like I said, I think just, women entrepreneurs need to go for it before they think they're ready, because likely you're ready and you're putting these barriers up for yourself. Um, and I think too for women, it's finding, like there's still, even though we're in 2024, um, right, there's still that, I see it often, like women entrepreneurs, especially if it's a business that is more geared towards women. Like I've seen in like a few like medical devices that are specific for women, or, like had like a company that does bras for tweens and teenagers. Like men just don't, no offense, but like right, these are things that men don't really understand. So even though it's half the market, and even investors are supposed to be looking for a good idea, it's half the market, but they don't understand it. So I've seen that sort of disconnect too happen. I wouldn't say it's true of all women pitching, but certainly if you are working on a business where your target market is primarily women. Um, and I think too that goes back to, well, probably lots of things. I think the main thing you can do there is, find, someone who can really champion you, and help you break into those walls, whether that's a man or a woman, someone that can sort of help explain um, the market and the opportunity there. I think a lot of that, sort of we need to put back on men. If you say you're an angel investor, an investor, and you're looking for great ideas, and you're sort of forgetting about 50% of the population, then there's clearly an issue there. I just think like why we put these things on women or minorities to change systems when, probably the system should be the one changing. But anyways.
What kind of ecosystems are there in Ontario for
Ooh.
this? That is exactly what I wanted to know from you.
So we host time to time events focused on either women angels or women founders. In Ontario, there is a woman only angel network, the Firehood, which is a really great resource. And obviously, like you pitch to a room full of really engaged women, all very senior in their career. I find that's a really wonderful network. And then there are a few funds as well in Ontario and across Canada. And certainly if you go to the US, like these things just explode. I mean, they have like 10
Super.
times the
Rebecca,
population. Yeah. The fund I'm thinking of is Stand Up Ventures. So they invest primarily in, well, the thesis is women. I'm sure there's more. There's Sandpiper out on the East Coast. There's Women Equity Lab. There's She Boot. So there are a few like women focused programs. But I would never suggest, you just, if you are raising capital as a woman investor, like don't primarily focus, cast your net wide. They're really great resources and really great networks to tap into. And I find women so much more collaborative and helpful, sorry, than men too. So like those networks are really great to tap into. I think sort of near the beginning of sort of your funding journey, as they often can help provide connection, mentorship, other advice about tapping into these networks. So
what are some of the ladies here's key hurdles that you've experienced, and how do we help women advance to C-suite positions or board positions?
I think so. Hi, my name is Ruchi Bharadwaj. I'm in financial services at OpenText, and there's a lot of women in tech sort of things that we do here. There's women engineers and product managers and everybody that collaborate and do that. However, when an organization says that they want to have more women in the C-suite, I usually look around and see how many directors or senior managers are in the pipeline. And if I don't see that a lot, then it's a little bit hollow of a aim for me, because a lot of times people are rising from within the organization, but if the pipeline does not show there's a lot of women in middle management, then to me it just sounds like that's not going to happen. So we say we want to change the organization, we want to change our outlook and what we want to accomplish in 10 years. But if I look around me, I mean, at OpenText, I see quite a lot. I don't know how many actually move up. I've seen some from brought outside as well as a couple move, but whenever our CEO says that, I'm always looking around and seeing, okay, who's at the middle level, who can rise up. So that's another thing. The pipeline is an issue for me. And then another issue is just networking. We're just everybody's just so busy in their times. You kind of stay in your lane and know the leaders around you. We don't get a lot of chance to network. So we're always seeking those opportunities, whether it's in a social setting or conferences. Whenever we go, we always look at other women leaders in other banks or other areas that we can connect with.
Okay, so the next question I had is, what skilling and ecosystem support is required to really move folks in that direction, and how can we support maybe scale ups into enterprise?
Hi, I can add a few words. My name is Priya, working as an IT consultant for a government NGO organization. I'm also a co-founder for a tech startup focusing on data engineering and analytics solutions. I think to create an ecosystem, it's mostly I would like to kind of borrow some words that Kate used, which is like women takes time in kind of preparing and making sure that they're confident enough, like they take some time to network, kind of take some time to ask for those promotions and stuff. And I think it's better to have a group of women who can champion other women, like who have been into much better positions. They can champion other women who wants to grow and might have kind of going short of confidence or preparedness in terms of asking for that raise or going for asking for that funding or something like that. So an ecosystem where there are women who supports each other, who promotes each other, and then kind of uh, also making it very easily available or easily approachable to the women who's out there to seeking mentorship or kind of asking for guidance or something like that. So I think the availability and the support of the senior women working in senior roles would be a great place to start, is what I'm thinking.
I think if I can add to that, so having access to leaders who are already there is always good. It builds your confidence, and also you can see how they operate and pick up on some things. But I also feel like leadership and management training helps. We've all done our, university education or college education, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. By the time you're hitting C-suite, have you taken an MBA recently? Have you done any other education? And if that's not there, then are you not a competitive candidate, right? So is there programs that can actually help you in a short frame of time, help you with strategic thinking, decision making? How are you going to manage a large team and make some critical strategic decisions? And then also there's very specific industry skills. Is there certifications you need? Maybe in engineering, you need to have certain certifications, but in other industry specific, you need to have, just a good idea of what the industry is facing. So how do you ramp up with those education type of things to help them? And then there's that whole business, financial acumen side of it. Like if I was to become a C-suite, I would be expected to look at reports. If I hate looking at reports or I haven't had that exposure, am I going to be able to know like what my team's revenue numbers mean? What does all of this amount to in terms of like a business sort of sense? So there should be some kind of like I don't even know what to call it, but like a point plan of here's the 5 or 6 things that will build my confidence and say, okay, I think I'm ready for a leadership role. Maybe I haven't seen things in my past leadership, but at the C level, here's the things that a leader should be aiming for. Whether that's I go outside and take those courses, or whether my organization is big enough to give me some sort of internal coaching, or, you know, those kind of things.
Coaching and mentorship, again, that's really well said and so important. You know, I think you nailed it when you said strategic thinking as well, because sometimes I've met many entrepreneurs, and myself, I've been very entrepreneurial, and I've developed industry skills that have been from out of the box, I want to say abstract lateral kind of thinking, and being around different professors and at conferences that gave me those opportunities to meet, you know, some of the top developers and folks that had a different vision for the world, really, you know. And but it's hard to know what certifications, you know, are evolving in UNESCO, especially around AI, you know, because it really changes a lot of things. If you look at like an MBA is training people to still use Excel a lot of the times, right? And I'm not saying Excel is bad, because it's a fantastic tool, but you know, MBA should be more training folks on curriculum around Python or Haskell development, in my opinion, right? That just my 2 cents, because that, you know, folks that don't have a grasp on emerging technologies like smart contracts might not see different 10 years out kind of gaps or opportunities, right? And so that's my 2 cents. And I don't know what I don't know. And I'm just grateful to be in a room with wonderful folks. But in terms of certifications, it's like digital transformation, workflow optimization is a thing, and having acumen. You said some wonderful points that, and it is about reading reports. And, you know, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I've read things at the iOS CO level. I'm in some working groups, and it's challenging. You have to be ready to challenge yourself. And that's the only thing I'll comment on, is it's all about being humble and knowing when you don't know something, and going to, you know, your network. And then also, when you do have a report, share it and be willing to read it. And that is the key. So that's an excellent point you brought up. There's a lot of reading, but machines read really fast too. So that's the fun and games right now. But
there's another thing that us women lack, is self-promotion sometimes, and I don't know how to get past that. I mean, you got to be humble, but you have to be, you know, you have to shine enough for other person to know exactly what you do. And we don't get enough coaching in that. We always hesitate. Yeah. And I think, Kate, you mentioned men will apply for a position when it's 2 bullets out of 10. It's the same. We have to be perfectionists. We have to look at that. So some coaching around that would be nice too. Okay, give me your elevator pitch. Like, you know, if I was coaching someone, I'd be like, okay, give me your 2-minute elevator pitch. And most people are like, well, like this is 15 years of this and that. Like, no, you should be ready to go. A CEO asks you, or somebody else who's wanting to be inspired by you ask you, you should have your pitch ready and practice it often, those kind of things. So I think it really depends how you self-promote, and if you actually can do a good job of articulating that in words, because people aren't going to know by reading your resume or just asking your boss, right? So
really well put. You know, confidence is, but not being overconfident, because, you know, the world is a big place, and you want your reputation is your reputation. And you know, I think the most important thing is to know that you may not know what the most important thing is, and that's where teamwork comes in, and prioritizing, you know, is a true leader is the one that 2 ears, 1 mouth. That's something I've learned as I talk.
Many of the people have got hurdles when they move up the organizational ladder. Okay, there are a lot of roadblocks. On one side, you see that women definitely have their own other commitments, family commitments, and things like that, which many a times causes a hurdle for them to move up and give enough time. This is one part of it. And the moment they come back to work after, you know, family responsibilities, they have another set of challenges, because the people who were with them have already moved to the top. Okay. On the other side, the competency is doubt in many cases, especially if the person does not express herself properly. So, how are women actually moving up the ladder there, and what kind of strategies are being adopted there, and how can we create a competency or a skill set or a training or a mentorship in that region for women to grow to the next level? I for some matter, for just last week, Ruchi, I was in touch with Rita, who is heading your marketing globally. She said, I was very fortunate to get one very interesting male mentor who came all the way out to support me and say that, hey, you should do this, and this is the way to go about. And he handheld me in quite a lot of areas. This is one experience that she shared. The other thing is the organization itself creating the kind of an ecosystem for women. So, any such thoughts that you can share, all of you?
For me as well, like I was always working in banking. It was, but different parts of the bank. I've done like front in the branch, then I was in mortgages, loans, and all that, but always on the operational side. And this is, gosh, like 10 years ago when product management was just up and coming. They were trying to decide what product management means at the bank. And again, like Rita, it was not a woman that gave me that nudge. It was my VP. He was a male at the time, and I was back from my first mat leave, and I needed to go part-time at the time. So that was a huge job risk that I took, and he allowed it. He said, you can do it. However, you're not going to be able to manage a team, but you can manage important projects, because projects are more like, in your hand when your kids are asleep or whatever. You can work at night, prepare for the next morning. And he gave me that flexibility. And when I was ready to come full-time back, there was no role for me. And again, the same VP at the time. And I think it was just my personal brand. He did not know me personally. I didn't even sit on his floor. He just knew my name and like the performance through the years and just people knowing what I had done. So he just sent me to his colleague in product, and he said, just go have a chat with her, ask her what product management is. Maybe you'll be good at it because you already know how banking products work. And off I went with my little resume, 2 pages, and I talked to the woman leader there, and she didn't even look at my resume. And she said, your personal brand speaks to it. Your VP speaks highly of you. You know the products more than I do as a VP in product. We'll give you a 6-month secondment. So I mean that really turned the path for me. And then my second mat leave, she was still my VP, and it just kind of, you just need the right leaders. Sometimes we think women leaders will be good for us, but men are cheerleaders too. You just have to sometimes take a chance. Maybe you won't get that leader in that role, and you have to get out of your comfort zone, go elsewhere and do something else. But again, it's very, very hard for women to manage that home and finding that champion who will just give you that one boost. But you just have to, I think it takes years to build a personal brand, and if it's there, I think there's a good chance somebody will kind of see it.
I think I agree to Ruchi's point there, and it's really hard to find that person who can really kind of mentor you, kind of explain to you the growth that will be in the organization, kind of boost you when you really need it. And I think when we find that kind of a person, we just have to really work with them, communicate with them what we really want, what do we really want to achieve. And I think it really depends on the organization too, what the culture looks like. I think, as Ruchi mentioned before, there are some organizations that have women in the middle management and senior C-suite management. And I think that would be a good hint to know that, okay, they're promoting women as well. But then there are organizations where you hardly see a woman in a C-suite or middle management. Women kind of struggle to get into that suit. And that's a good indication of, maybe you're not in the right place. Maybe you need to start looking at somewhere. And yeah, people do say that the change is coming or we want to be more diverse, but I don't think that is always practiced. Like they do want that change, but are they really doing something to bring about that change? I'm not sure about that. But yeah, that would be a good indication. And yeah, when it comes to ecosystem, it's basically finding that mentor, finding that ways to communicate better, and yeah, that would be like a more useful thing.
I think another thing women don't do enough is just talk to other people and express interest. We just
Yeah.
feel like it has to be a formal application or a job opening for me to talk. Sometimes when I run into people in our, like, we have these wine and cheese events like locally, there are just 50 people in the room and maybe 10 women, 40 men. We just talk to
Yeah.
people. What is it they do? Where do they work? How's their boss? Like, what does their day look like? And then if you like what you see, and if it's a department maybe you had your eyes on, you can spark a thing like, oh, can I shadow you, or can you tell me more? So we just don't ask, because at least I hesitate to. I look at the person. If they seem friendly, I'll ask more, but I read too much into that. So I've coached myself not to do that. Just talk to people, like, maybe
Yeah.
something will click.
Yeah, I get it. And I think there is also a hesitancy to go join on this, networking opportunities or networking events. We kind of, trying to balance the responsibilities of family and work, and we kind of sometimes give the importance to the family, which kinds of leads to missing those networking opportunities, or we kind of hesitate to go into those opportunities because we think that, oh, we just got the job, we'll be okay. I think it's very important to network and find those opportunities if we want to get ahead.
Yeah.
I think what you said is really on point. Have you ever read the book The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss? I read it about a decade ago, and it's a great book that really talks about systems and processes and what you can delegate, and the 80-20 rule and Pareto principle. And if you want more time for building your network, maybe there's things you can automate in your life, and or delegate to folks, in or there's ways you can maybe get systems in place for managing time. Like it's challenging. We all are very challenged with this. I have just something I'll share personally. I've had a father that had traumatic brain injury, so I've had to deal with some family stuff over the years, just having a disabled family member. And it's challenging to have to monitor medical stuff. And we all have something, and everyone that you meet has something that is challenging, but what doesn't break you becomes a breakthrough, and then you're brand new. So it's all about believing in yourself. And some of my entrepreneurial experiences are a byproduct of necessity, and you just have to be brave and go for it in life. What you might not, that's my 2 cents. But I just want to kind of cover a few of the questions that were on this list, because everyone here is just really brilliant and throwing out some really insightful, great topics. On the Elevate side, I think the most important thing is, how do we create programs that are sustainable? And then, how do we leverage folks' strengths? Yeah, how do we make them sustainable? Because I think the challenge is, a lot of times things are especially when it comes to diversity and inclusion and corporate social responsibility, sometimes if you're partnering with nonprofits, it's like there are some tight budgets, and it's difficult to stretch a dollar, and to get things done in a logical way.
No, I think to create sustainable programs or systems, it's always good to listen to people. Like, what are your challenges? What are your current problems? And focusing on those, so that people who goes through it gets to navigate those problems with the guidance they get, and then kind of altering it's like it's something that's adaptive phase management kind of an approach, where we adapt to the program gets adapt to the current problems, current issues that women face when they're trying to elevate or get into entrepreneurship or something, and working on those feedback to see how they can how they're doing good with the solutions that we guide them on. So I think that could be a solution to make it more sustainable. What do you guys?
I just have a thought, I think having you can't say technology will solve every challenge, because it absolutely is a dream that doesn't exist. I mean, sometimes technology brings more challenges, but if there's ways to just reduce friction and optimize workflows, and especially when it comes to corporate social responsibility, and even engaging and partnering with nonprofits, if it's easier to move the funds for the grassroots initiatives, you can, without all the red tape, as long as it's in a compliant way. But like, I've seen platforms that are using smart contracts, for example, and it's very interesting because they're creating grants and incentivizing communities doing all sorts of altruistic things. So it's very special, and you want to keep the momentum going, especially when we look at what's happened with let's just say this COVID, or what there's a lot of fundraising shutdown and events and things due to whatever. I won't get into that, but it affected health networks and grassroots funding. And I used to do a lot of volunteer work, and yeah, I think sustainable software for funding and fundraising is one very important topic. But I guess just to wrap up, we have about 2 minutes left. On the enterprise side, we went through a lot of the Elevate side. On the enterprise side, I think strengthening business plans and existing ecosystems. There's a lot of resources I know about that do that, and I'd love to hear from the group if there's any mentorship networks or existing ecosystems for strengthening business plans. So we do have women entrepreneurs expanding. Like, I know folks that do procurement and do all kinds of government grants, but it's challenging for entrepreneurs to kind of navigate that. And you have Shred, MyTax, all the R&D credits, and there's like 1,500 plus programs. It's all the applications take months to fill out, and you can pay people to do it, or they can get paid on the back end, but people don't know about that. So I think just connecting folks to that, and also non-dilutive solutions as well.
I don't have much experience in that, but is there like a central place where all these resources can be found, or is it just Dr. Google answering all the questions? Like, how do people find out what's available?
Well, it really depends. Like canadastartups.org is one that has good branding and does a lot for smaller businesses, and they basically have assessment tools and a 1-800 number, so they can help folks brainstorm ideas if they're super early stages, write a business plan, or try to access step-by-step guidance on launching a small business, because you have to kind of walk before you run, or crawl before you walk, before you run. And just incorporate properly. Or with Web3, there's new ways to put your data on chain in a decentralized ethos, but that's a whole other topic for another day. There's ways you can put things onto the blockchain, and then you have your data for the community a little bit stored in a new way. But yeah, that's a big one. And then there's a group in Ottawa I know about that's quite good with AI, and I'm really passionate about the interoperability of AI and ledger technology, because that's like DAOs are a structure that a lot of research is taking place around, like decentralized autonomous organizations. And yeah, there's some really ridiculously strong research coming out of a lot of law schools, but it's quite emerging. And but what I was going to share is there's ways, we're going to have to just see how certain elections go, because there's different policies landing, and I don't want to comment too much right now, because but there's a lot of software IEEE folks leading a lot of pioneering research. I'm on a cybersecurity board that's around a lot of research, and welcoming participation around all this research, because there's it's the future of payments and the future of digital asset management, and it's going to transform things digitally, right? So yeah, so everyone, I'm just going to click on leave room, but it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know each and every one of you, and thank you for
I think we have had a great conversation. This was a first experience that we have had where we did too many breakout rooms and tried to see how we can make the best. But I am really thankful to all of you that we could get it through properly. And a quick 5-minute encapsulation by both our moderators. Anything else you think? Rebecca, how about you?
Thank you so much for having me today, Babu. I just wanted to thank everyone for their contributions. We discussed a lot of fantastic things on basically open text. Some folks that were project managers and directors and senior managers talked about some networking issues some folks were having as well with diversifying their networks. And I think that having the right partnerships, mentorship, and community building will really enable CSR and DEI initiatives. And basically, to summarize the discussion, I contributed a few things about Web3 and AI and smart contracts and technology that I have access to. And there's different leaders that I think could be brought in on next steps. There are a lot of experts. Like, we had an expert on data engineering on the call, which is really interesting. And also, we talked about the importance of communications, leadership, and management, and essentially, in terms of donor advised funds, I don't want to name the name of this, but something just sparked in my head from what was shared, and I don't want to go off topic too much, but I was recently presented with a project that is fairly early stage, but could enable folks to donate tax effectively to all kinds of charities and causes using the blockchain. And this is an initiative that felt close to my heart. And I just want to invite anyone to message me privately about getting involved, because we're looking for different charity partners for that one, as well as folks that might want to use the platform to, they're creating the global standard for tax receipts on the blockchain.
Do you think if we create something like a tax benefit for empowering a women-based,
Exactly.
enterprise?
Yeah, they could fund this initiative, and that might.
Yeah. So some such kind of initiatives, if it is lobbied with the government, and if we can create some such kind of community which can actually talk to the government and see if women-powered businesses can be given some specialized tax benefits, would it benefit, or is it there, or is it available today?
I think education is everything. So this programming, we want to teach people the trends in technology that are transformative, and give folks opportunities to.
It is great that we have such a great ecosystem. We will keep building it. Thank you very much, everyone, for your wonderful participation, and look forward to make a difference to everyone together. Thank you very much.